Hello and welcome. This is going to be a pick a card reading carried over from yesterday. If you didn't watch the first video, we'll go through just a little bit more here, but I've decided to make each one its own video just because my phone is finicky and Mercury's about in its retrograde. So we're not going to play around today. We're going to try to get you into your messages. Thank you. Hello. Welcome. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you all very much. My name is Dina. Let's get you going. So pile number 2, you received the initiation and the Count St Germain. So this is an initiation phase for you. Number 14 may be significant. And also this is a half of a Saturn cycle. It's coming to mind. So if something, I don't know, if you are having a Saturn return, a Saturn square, a Saturn opposition specifically, this may be particularly for you. You can check that out online. I'm not going to go into that specifically, but Saturn connections and going through the stations of this square are the activations of accountability and whether we are going to move further into adulting and into our calling and into being accountable with our energy and in higher integrity, being able to be more of a sovereign individual, a provider, a protector, and a nurturer all at the same time. It's a high level activation, which is why it keeps challenging us throughout our life as all of the energies do. And so it doesn't matter what we're doing compared to other people with Saturn. It's all about what we're doing in comparison with where we've been. What are we doing with the information and the energies as they've been presented? How are we integrating them? How are we moving forward? So Count St Germain is one of the ascended masters. His tool, if you do not already know, is the violet flame, which talks about being able to transmute any lower vibrational energies into a higher level of consciousness, understanding, awareness, ascending in some ways, any type of energy. So those of us that are here as the divine alchemists that transmute and shift energies, that's going to be almost everybody, especially those tuning into this one that are engaged in this kind of work. And this kind of work being things like spirituality and being aware of frequencies in general means that we are already facing, if not engaged in, an initiation into how do we manipulate those energies. Now, manipulation in itself is neutral. It's balancing. To shift and change is to manipulate, even if it's just clay, sculpting it is to manipulate that clay into a shape. We're always shaping our lives. We're always shaping our destiny and our reality. We're co-creating with the world. And in this pile, it would be wise to recognize how along your path other individuals have also been engaged in some level of their own manipulative, strategic cleverness that has influenced and affected your own situation and how you've also played your cards. And so your energy is right where I was beginning. That was when the camera quit. So if you didn't watch the first one, the first pile, if you want to catch that one, was Archangel Michael. The second pile that you're tuning in for now, Count St. Germain, the initiation where you are now becoming somewhat of a teacher and master alchemist instead of just a beginner, I would suggest that you may know more than you even think that you know. And then the third pile, if you want to catch that next, will be the Divine Physician. You can take that religiously or not, but it's the Ascended Master Jesus depicted in that pile. And I decided I was going to use this, and I was going to ask for the Masters and Angels to pop out if whichever one wanted to speak. And so I started shuffling, and they literally popped out. So St. Germain didn't have any additional cards as the other two piles did that came out of this deck. But under the deck, the theme of the pick a card is all about rebalancing something in our life, this karmic justice in our life, talking about creating right order, getting what we deserve. And for you, as we got into the code cards, we had Delight flip off the deck, number 19. That gorgeous, ripe, juicy delight. It's like the sensual delights of the world is part of how we can use our alchemical energy, right? And then we have also throat chakra here that came out, talking about alchemy with delight and throat chakra is what are we giving voice to? What are we renting space to in our head? Are we thinking about all of the things that we could do and be and create and how we love other individuals? Or are we on some level also giving some space to, oh, well, that person said that, and oh, well, this person, even though they say that they love me, I can tell that they don't because of da 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 type of stuff, right? And I know most of us aren't gonna be like, oh yeah, that's me. I always have toxic thoughts, but they creep in, here and there, depending on your situation and the phase of, let's say, Saturn. Saturn creates a lot of inner self doubts for many people, and some others, based on other factors in their world, that self doubt is mirrored out into the world, and they start thinking, oh, well, I doubt if I'm worthy or loved, or if I've achieved enough, or if, I'm going to have the right resources available when the time is right. Should I gather all this stuff and keep it for myself? Should I be fearful and afraid of people that are different from me? Fill in the blank. So, anyways, there's something here about being able to really transmute any type of inner narratives, inner thoughts, and belief patterning, to use the proper discernment to transition our auric field, the vibrational resonance. I have this itchy nose during this broadcast. I apologize. It's something that happens sometimes when I channel. So, and there it is again. I'm so sorry. I don't know what it is. So this transition, there's a change card in here and a transition. Transition for me is a leveling up. And actually it, to me, is talking about different codes, activations that are coming through, because it appears to me to be a wave function moving through the DNA and activating the DNA in a specific pattern. And transition to me talks about the shifting of the vibrational input, integration, and then broadcast out, particularly with discernment and with Merkaba here. So throat chakra, discernment, and transition is like, who are we renting space to? What are we allowing to be true in our life, and being able to utilize our third eye to perceive of the light and not of always the shadow. I know that they're both there, and they're both vital and important information codes for us. But a transition is about, what do we do with that? Do we believe that we have to be afraid, or do we believe that we are the conduit of love? There's plenty of people that are freaking out, spinning their wheels, whatever. Merkaba is about the auric field that is evidenced from our vibrational content in that way. So let's move to your Art of War advice here. So yeah, I don't want to forget to say this with the throat chakra and discernment, and something about the intuitive shifting of the way that we're holding information reminds me that some of you may have dealt with things such as, but not limited to, gaslighting, perhaps even narcissistic or borderline, or some other type of mental divergence, which has led to either your own or someone else's, that you've been subjected to that has fed into unhealthy thought patterning, and that here you're being able to discern what's healthy, what's not. I don't know if you're seeking some type of treatment. What's that called? It's not ERM, DMT. Isn't that a drug? If you know, you know. But if you have been subjected to these things, definitely there's no shame in going and getting help. It's the strongest person that can go out and be like, hey, I don't want to live like this. I know that there's something better for me. Help me work through this. Use the knowledge of others. Don't always think that you have to go it alone. You don't. You don't have all the answers or all the information all the time. If you know someone with skills and knowledge that you don't have, ask them for advice or help. They will almost always be happy to share what they know with you. Sun Tzu said, we shall be unable to turn natural advantage to account unless we make use of local guides. So yeah, if somebody knows the terrain and you're looking for this really obscure fountain in the dense forest, you can go out there and get turned around and lost and never find it and never find your way back out, right? And symbolically, that's kind of like the dark night of the soul. If you're struggling with something, maybe it's time to say, hey, I'm struggling. And I did something like that the other day that was much less intense. I was just, doing something quite mundane, and I was just frustrated. And it was one of those things like you pick something up and it drops 5 times and you're like, really? What are you guys trying to do? And I was like, I am struggling. And somebody came over, they're like, yeah, really? What can I do? Let me just do this. And it wasn't that the help was necessary. It was that having somebody there made it that I didn't have to go it alone. So if it's time to reach out and make a phone call, you don't have to go it alone. I tend to also, I'll say, just as many of us are like this, when I am most struggling with something internally, accidentally on purpose, that is when I withdraw the most into my internal monologue, because I want to feel my way through it first with my guides and my own intuition. But that's not always the most helpful, because then that leads to cycling and circular, because you already know what you know. So even if you're not in a position to have supportive individuals in your life, there are so many educational and supportive broadcasts on YouTube. And I'm not talking about, girl, he cheating on you. No, none of that business. I'm talking about like somebody that's like a relationship counselor. There are motivational speakers. There are individuals that speak on law of attraction. There are people that talk about psychology and childhood healing, and what you need to know to succeed in the business world. Find something that resonates, and find something that's uplifting. Lead by example. While families do not have leaders and employees, and are not really organizations, they could be considered a small not-for-profit business. Successful parents lead by example, setting out roles, boundaries, standards of behavior, and expectations with clear communication, and enforcing the rules with kindness. They value input from their children and are keen to make joint decisions with them. So that's great. Delight and throat chakra here, and local guides seeking knowledge about perhaps something with children and families. That's beautiful. And yeah, many of us have the wish to take back households from situations because we're programmed by something from our past that may or may not be like our ideal. And we're trying to do something unprecedented that hasn't been led by example. And here we are trying to blaze a new trail and seeking some type of family dynamics online that are helpful, like even Super Nanny. I know that's kind of television, but she makes some good points. The organization in which leaders and employees are united in purpose will be successful. Yeah, let them know the why. Lead by example. Yes. Okay, and then these two are quite lengthy one, so I won't read them, but the back here says argue with respect. And so delight and throat chakra may mean for you that you really just need to be the one that doesn't lose your cool and needs to set some type of boundary as far as like, well, this is an acceptable way to speak with to one another with respect, honor, and love. And this is a way sarcasm is in the middle here, leading towards the not so healthy. And then we have all out disdain and resentments and accusations and blame mongering, which is harmful and violent speech. So, yeah. Okay, so little disclaimer, this next deck is new to me. It's the Rebel deck, and it does have some real spicy language, and I accidentally got the couples version. So some of these are going to be specific, but if you don't like this language, go ahead and fast forward for a minute. Let's get this one. Whew. It's time for shit to get real. Get honest as F. Honest AF. Yeah, it's time to lay something out, and sometimes those moments are not very planned, but if you're in the middle of flipping around like, what? Oh, no, you didn't, just go and make it count, in the right ways. This says unplug. Maybe that's something you need to do, is set that example of going unplugged, scheduling mealtime unplugged, sit down meals, or family time, whatever it is for you. Homemade food is foreplay. Yeah, sit down to a family meal. That's interesting. In the back side of this says cook an effing meal. Massage, binge watch, chill. So yeah, even if it's not just about your kids or whatever, it doesn't, have to be kinky, queer, and weird for the foreplay thing. If you need to apply it to your family in a platonic way or your work environment, eating together bonds people, and it's a time where people can start being more easy, more joking. Oh yeah, I had this happen today, because as we're eating, our mind is wandering and everybody's in their inner space, and then that's a time for perhaps sharing that with each other, so yeah, maybe it's time to go out, stay in. Something homemade though was there. Let's get this. Oh, this just came out for the previous. Enjoy the journey, 21. Stay present and flexible. Many changes are going on for you and around you. These changes are not only good, but necessary. Bring your awareness into the now rather than focusing on the past or the future. Yeah, don't hold those grudges, especially in a situation that you want to stay authentic with. And underneath is 50, childlike devotion. And because we're, for some of you, speaking about family matters, that's beautiful. Staying devoted to your family, to the truth, and being unconditional with your love, learning how to be aware of your inner child and how your inner child is also possibly offended or fearful or intolerant of certain things, whatever you need to look at, but also to have awareness for the other inner children that want to just play instead of just be stomping around, tantrum toddler type, says you are multi-talented, complex, a multi-talented and complex being, multi-dimensional. Yes. Embrace and love who you are. So I love that. And perhaps part of this too for you is to recognize that when we are unconditional in our love, we can let other people be who they are and try to affirm that in our interrelations. It doesn't matter if it's workplace, family, friends, or lovers. With that childlike devotion, it's like, I see the light in you. I see through to the intention and to the fearful, sad, and playful inner child. And I recognize that you don't want to fight, but you do want attention. You have issues that you want to bring light on. And we can all get off course. Sitting down, having a meal can be a more routine and inducing situation, creating new healthy habits for family, friends, and so on. But being more proactive and direct with having a big speech or just having a simple little declaration like, all right, things need to change. There are things that have made me very unhappy, and I'd like to start by declaring my intention to shift this dynamic, to transmute those lower vibrational factors rippling below the surface, threatening to pull us all under and squirt water in our eyes. You know, it's like taking that and saying, I have the power to help this heal and change. I have the power to continue to meet somebody where they're at and invite them out. And we can even ask our guides and their guides, the powers that be, to help that individual if they need to talk to somebody, if they need to have that support and any type of higher leadership come into their life. Let them come into contact with what they need to help them heal. Let them understand the things that they engage in that keep them feeling unhealthy or whatever it might be. Help us to all find the information and to find the loving center of each of us, like that Tootsie Roll sucker commercial, you know? Juicy center. Oh boy. All right. I think that's good for you guys. Pile 2. I hope that you enjoyed and got something that was meaningful for you and rebalancing the situation of importance in your life. And if so, or if not, do consider checking out the other 2 readings, the pile 1 with Archangel Michael and the pile 3 with the Divine Physician, Jesus. And otherwise, we're going to have a daily Dharma here in a little while as well. So do check out that. So otherwise, thank you again, all of you, so very much for tuning in and supporting the channel and the words that come through. So take care.